Welcome back after the lunch break. My name is Claudia Jens, and I'm delighted to see such a keen audience ready to explore Agile Enterprise Architecture and the combined powers of TOGAF and SAFe. Today, I would like to share the following insights with you. We will kick off our journey with a look at the Agile evolution and challenges in enterprise architecture. Next, I will introduce TOGAF as the standard for enterprise architecture management. How many of you are familiar with TOGAF? Could you please raise your hand? Okay, at least a few. Then we will transition to introducing SAFe for scaling Agile. And who of you has an idea of what SAFe is about? Okay, the same, quite interesting. Our fourth point will then be Agile architecture within SAFe. And here we will get into the specifics of what Agile architecture means within the context of SAFe and how it is applied. Moving forward, we will explore aligning TOGAF and SAFe, synergies unveiled. And finally, I will wrap up our session with our conclusion, where I will summarize the key takeaways from our today's session and the future outlook for Agile enterprise architecture. I'm excited to share these insights with you, and I would like to encourage you to engage with me after the talk or afterwards one by one, as you like. Let's dive into the world of Agile enterprise architecture. Before we delve into today's topic, allow me to briefly introduce myself. My name is Claudia Jens, and I'm passionate to help organizations to help implementing new ways of working that can transform their organization. Specializing in Agile at scale, I'm here to provide actionable insights to help you also succeed on your Agile journey. I have 12 years experience in IT management consulting and an MBA in IT management. And as a leadership coach and change enabler, I'm certified in several SAFe disciplines and also in TOGAF. That's why I'm here. My company, ZMT Forward Limited, is committed to being your partner in enterprise agility, and we provide expert advisory, consulting services, high-quality Agile training, and facility of workshops tailored to your needs. And with this introduction, let's move forward and explore how to effectively integrate Agile architecture in your business context. Today, we are living in a VUCA world. It's volatile, it's uncertain, it's really complex, and it's ambiguous. No one knows what is the right way, right? Today, in a world of constant change, we have to solve completely different problems and use different patterns of actions. Old patterns of actions help without problems. Our environment has become much faster and more dynamic, so you really have to be able to deal with that. And the ability to deal with this constant change and dynamic, I would say this is the meaning of agility. And I think this goes really well hand in hand with the understanding that Daniel mentioned earlier today. So the need is understood, but what about the need for an agile approach? Do we really need to be agile everywhere? As I mentioned, traditional patterns excel with familiar problems. But in the face of growing complexity and uncertainty, I would say agility becomes essential. Appropriate approaches vary with the context, and this is illustrated here in the Stacy matrix. I think if you have also heard what Lars said at the beginning today, this is somehow related to the Synergies framework as well. So in a stable environment, traditional, predictive, or iterative agile methods are both effective. But with rising complexity, the effectiveness of traditional approaches become at least questionable. In an environment with high uncertainty, detailed plans are likely to fail, so adaptive strategies are required. And here comes the Agile advantage. Agile and iterative approaches flourish in a world of complexity, constantly adapting to change. With iterations, we can conduct refinements of unclear customer needs with each cycle and evolving with each increment. When we use sprints, we can balance flexibility and stability. Too much stability can lead to big bang releases. And also on the other hand side, too much flexibility may lead to instability. So now the core of agility is in responding to evolving customer desires during the implementation, fostering continuous improvement and alignment with client expectation. Now that I mentioned all those challenges, how can you deal with those challenges by applying frameworks? Let's take a closer look at the context and problem solver dynamics. I just tried to compare SAFe and TOGAF. SAFe manages unpredictable changes and the rapid pace of digital transformation by implementing agile methodologies at every level of an organization. TOGAF addresses the complexity of architectures and important IT challenges, including complicated business processes, interwoven data models, and complex application landscapes. But why should you consider those two particular frameworks? I think their high degree of adoption speak for themselves, and both are globally recognized as leading best practice approaches that have proven themselves. But also, as a passionate consultant, I would also like to draw your attention to the limitations. While TOGAF is said to be adaptable, it can be rigid and slower in agile environments, and to keep pace with the dynamics of agile methodologies, you need adjustments. On the other hand side, agile architecture in SAFe may lack the in-depth architectural focus and require supplementation by specific architecture frameworks. For me, the consequence is clear. Agile methodology is essential for contemporary enterprise architecture management to thrive amid change and complexity. We need a combination. That's what I had to say about the agile evolution and enterprise architecture challenges. And next, I would like to have a closer look at TOGAF. Who in the audience is an enterprise architect? Could you please raise your hand? Oh, great. At least we have two. How many of you are convinced that agile enterprise architecture is getting the attention it deserves? Okay, I was expecting that. No one is raising their hand. So let's create a shared understanding of what is enterprise architecture management is about. I found this explanation and I liked it very much. Enterprise architecture management provides a holistic approach. It's structured in different architectural layers and foresees employing associated implementation methodologies and establishing also governance foundations. And by doing so, it provides the foundation for strategic alignment of the entire business process IT landscape with business needs, while also facilitating the opportunities for local improvement and optimization. And TOGAF is the standard for that. In 2022, the Open Group published the latest TOGAF version, TOGAF 10. And the TOGAF standard now consists of the TOGAF fundamental content, what you can see on the left, and the TOGAF series guides that you can see on the right. The TOGAF fundamental content includes the several universal concepts of enterprise architecture and consists now of 6 independent but closely linked documents. Most of the existing concepts from the previous TOGAF version 9.2 are also here in the fundamental content again. The centerpiece of this is the ADM, the Architectural Development Method, illustrated in the middle. This is an iterative approach to enterprise architecture. The TOGAF series guides, on the other hand side, takes these concepts and make them actionable. They provide proven, stable, and enduring best practices. Besides some very domain-specific guidance, there are also 2 new TOGAF series guides concerning agile methods, which have been published in April 22. As I saw this, I was somehow delighted. Way! TOGAF is now also considering agile methodologies. That was my first thought. The first document, the first series guide, it was now published, is called Enabling Enterprise Agility, and this document describes how to apply the TOGAF IDM in an agile delivery environment. The second document is called Applying the TOGAF IDM using Agile Sprints, and this document describes more in detail how to deliver enterprise architecture with the TOGAF IDM in Agile Sprints. So you may say now, solution found, what else do I need? Well, it's not really into detail. So for me, solution was not given here. Let me address an important issue, the agility of TOGAF in meeting changing user requirements. TOGAF 10 increased its flexibility to integrate with agile practices, highlighting its iterative approach, again, and alignment with agile methodologies. Sounds good. But the first challenge is the balance between strategic and agile approaches. Balancing the TOGAF strategic planning with the need for agility in sprints is still a challenge. It can be difficult to maintain the strategic alignment while rapidly responding to changes and delivering incremental value. The next challenge is granularity and scope. Breaking down enterprise architecture into sufficiently detailed yet manageable segments, not an easy task. And making sure that each segment is aligned with both the strategic vision and the immediate agile requirements, still a difficult task. What about the need for continuous adaptation of solution to changing needs and priorities? The challenge is here to iteratively apply the ADM based on the previous sprint experiences and the ongoing requirement for refinement and improvement. To conclude, the last challenge I would like to highlight is integrating the continuous stakeholder feedback into the architecture development process. Remember what Daniel said earlier when he refers to Conway's Law. Of course, effective governance is crucial here to ensure that agile deliveries remain aligned with business needs and the overall strategic objectives. Let's continue and have a look at SAFe. Welcome to the world of SAFe, which is the globally recognized framework for agile at scale. I've just experienced it again in the lunch break that there might be really strong opinions out there about this scaled agile framework. SAFe's prominence comes from its wide adoption. It's not just a framework, you can say it's a movement, adopted by countless organizations worldwide seeking to elevate their agility. The latest State of Agile report mentioned that over 50% of the replicants considered SAFe. Well, I think that's a fact. At its core, SAFe is about synchronizing alignment, collaboration, and delivery for large numbers of agile teams. SAFe itself says you might have different configurations and you can scale it up from a team of teams to a team of teams up to I don't know how big your organization is. But what I like about SAFe is that it provides a lot of answers. And it's not just on a team level, it also bridges the gap to the strategic level, to the C level. While we will delve into the principles of SAFe in detail later, it's essential to understand that SAFe integrates a set of proven practices and competencies. And these practices span strategic themes, portfolio management, and flow-based development, just to name a few. In essence, we can say that SAFe is about creating a system of continuous improvement, enabling an organization to respond quickly to market changes and delivering value incrementally and efficiently. We will next explore how these principles and practices come to life within an organization. Before I will show you what Agile architecture within SAFe is, I happily noticed that also now TOGAF provides a definition for Agile architecture. And they defined Agile architecture with both considerations. First is the act itself, the development of architecture that reacts quickly and easily to changes. And the second is the thing, an architecture that is flexible. So, what is the SAFe understanding? You have seen earlier the definition of enterprise architecture management, and honestly, that was an easy job. That was a basic question, and the challenge is more how to define agile architecture. SAFe provides here a comprehensive approach that embraces the concept across multiple aspects. At first, agile architecture is not just an IT issue. It's not just an IT responsibility, but it should be aligned with the enterprise overall vision and strategy. SAFe says agile architecture is addressed across different levels of the organization and therefore foresees 3 different roles: the enterprise architecture, the solution architect, and also the system architect. SAFe emphasizes continuous delivery and integration over Big Bang releases, and therefore mentions this continuous delivery pipeline. And SAFe also incorporates SAFe as an essential part. Additionally, it features the architectural one-way to integrate enabler elements at all levels. The bottom line is here that SAFe presents an agile framework that introduces flexibility where TOGAF may be limited and effectively supports dynamic and responsive architectural practices. But how? 2 answers to that. First, you can see here, SAFe Lean Agile principles inform agile architecture practices, and while all apply, 3 are particularly relevant to architecture. Before committing to a specific design, agile architects use fast learning cycles, which corresponds to principle 4, to explore different alternatives, which corresponds to principle 3, and then arrive at the optimal solution. They also create the environment for decentralized decision-making, principle 9, by defining and communicating the architectural vision and strategy, and then collaborating with and coaching the teams who build it. My second answer to the how is by building the architectural one-way to accelerate value delivery. Architects play an important role by supporting the solution and product teams in maintaining a steady flow, iteration after iteration, program increment for program increment. And this involves 3 points: aligning the architecture with the solution vision and roadmap to identify and implement necessary enablers. Second point, by preparing the architectural runway to ensure that teams are ready to take off. And the third point is by constructing the runway with various enablers that support the upcoming business features and functionalities. Do you recognize the different components of the architectural runway here? Basically, SAFe says that the architectural runway consists of existing code, hardware components, and basically every technical thing that somehow enables future business releases, business functions. And types of enabler include exploration enablers, for example, for discovery, architecture enabler to really conduct proof of concepts, infrastructure enablers for example, automating the development pipeline, or also compliant enablers. And now the question arises, who takes care of all that? The architects of agility and SAFe. I mentioned them before. SAFe identifies 3 distinct architect roles, each operating on a different level: a system, solution, and enterprise. Let me highlight just one, the enterprise architect. This role serves as the link between architecture and business strategy, communicating the strategically important issues to solution and system architects. This role also advocates for continuous delivery and DevOps initiatives and engages with innovative ideas and technologies for enterprise-wide application. Unlike traditional models, SAFe does not divide architects into business architects, data, or technology with a domain focus. Instead, all 3 architectural roles possess a broad set of skills across all architectural domains. And this represents a significant shift in mindset and requires a departure from the silos of traditional architecture. This is really a difference that SAFe mentions here. Let's have a closer look how we can align both frameworks now. As we bridge TOGAF and SAFe, let's focus on where they align perfectly, setting the architecture context for our projects. TOGAF begins with the preliminary phase and the architecture vision. These are the critical first steps to establish the groundwork. In SAFe, this aligns with the architecture vision and development practices that you typically address during the quarterly PI planning, where all teams from a team of teams gather together and plan for the upcoming quarter. It's here where the strategic direction and technical practices are defined, setting the stage for agile teams to deliver value. And this is where TOGAF's structured approach meets SAFe's agile execution. So in essence, I would say TOGAF sets the direction, while SAFe empowers the teams to iterate towards that vision. In TOGAF's architecture development method, we methodologically create the business, information systems, and technology architectures, different dimensions. In parallel, in SAFe, we have the enterprise solution and the system architects, as introduced before. And each plays a key role in ensuring that each layer of our architecture is aligned with our actual practices and business goals. This collaboration ensures that our architecture are not created in silos, but are interwoven across dimensions by architects who understand the details, who also have a business understanding, not just a technical understanding, and the big picture within the SAFe context. In TOGAF, we address architecture governance and transition planning. SAFe complements this with a refined understanding of agile architecture, which harmonizes, on the one hand side, the emergent design, the innovative and responsive element, and on the other hand side, with the intentional architecture, the planned strategic element. The convergence point is here, the governance and adaptability. The synergy between TOGAF and SAFe allows us to plan and manage implementation in a way that is both structured and adaptable. By interlacing TOGAF's transition planning with SAFe's agile architecture approach, we establish a governance model that supports continuous transformation and enables organizations to thrive in a changing landscape. To conclude, I would like to summarize how the potential synergy between those two frameworks has been demonstrated. First, enterprise architecture and agility go hand in hand, if you ask me. Secondly, combinable frameworks exist for both aspects, TOGAF and SAFe, for example. And the third, agile architecture provides the flexibility to solve today's complex problems, where traditional approaches may reach their limitations. So how can you start and go more into the direction of agile architectures? I think you need to look at the differences where your starting point is. Typically, if we look to a more traditional approach to enterprise architecture, you may be faced with some big upfront planning, with a comprehensive architecture, which is typically very time-consuming. On the other hand side, unfortunately, I've seen also companies which start without a plan or architectural considerations. Some call them agile. I would say it's pseudo-agile. The truly agile way for me is an adaptive, evolving plan with emergent design. And to kickstart good agile architecture, I would like to give you 3 tips. First tip is, adopt a scalable agile framework. It doesn't need to be SAFe. It can also be Nexus or LESS or Unfix or anything else. But implementing framework such like SAFe that facilitates scalability in agile processes could be a good idea to move towards an agile organization. Selective method integration is the second tip. Do some cherry picking. Cherry pick some specific suitable methods that work for your organizations. Have a look at frameworks like SAFe, not like SAFe, like TOGAF, and maybe have a look at how they define technical architecture there. And the third tip is embrace experimentation. Here I would like to refer to the words from John Maxwell: fail early, fail often, but hopefully always fail forward. So finally, what does the future of agile enterprise architecture look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to explore emerging trends and opportunities in agile enterprise architecture, such as the integration of artificial intelligence or machine learning. Agile architecture as a competitive advantage for me means that I'm somehow convinced that agile enterprise architecture can provide a competitive advantage, enabling organizations to innovate and differentiate in the market. And I believe that agile enterprise architecture will play a crucial role in empowering organizations to become more agile, innovative, and responsive in evolving business landscapes. That's it, agile enterprise architecture. And I'm happy to engage with you afterwards. I'm happy if you send me a connection request on LinkedIn. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Claudia. I think we have time for one question or two. one question? Yes. Awesome.
Hey, so that's super interesting. I wanted to hear your opinion on more self-managed frameworks like holacracy.
Well, that's going to be a broad field of discussion. I think holacracy would be much more flexible compared to what I've shown here with Dave. Would you agree? Yeah, okay, you agree. So for me, the idea here was to show the synergies that you can take if you might considering implementing SAFe into your own organization, because SAFe provides a lot of answers, right? And holacracy, I would say, leaves more space to find answers or solutions on themselves, right? So concerning architecture, I would say, please consider that enterprise architecture management is a thing, as I mentioned also with my future outlook. I think it can be a competitive advantage. And with this being said, I mean, it's not just a topic when you try to include architecture considerations in SAFe, should also include architecture considerations if you decide to go for holacracy. That's my personal opinion. Interesting question, thank you. Maybe we can engage on that afterwards as well.
One last question.
So, as someone who isn't really experienced in agile framework, with a growing organization that currently emulates agile practices, what would be a good way to start to think about aligning things in a way that's potentially compatible with SAFe and or TOGAF?
May you can give me some more information, because you mentioned an organization that eliminates agile practices. So, no.
An organization that emulates. They don't necessarily. So we don't necessarily implement it because we don't have the foundation, but we emulate what we think is agile.
Then I would like to refer to the picture where I've shown the understanding of SAFe regarding the architecture roles. Can you remember with the system, the solution, and the enterprise architect? I think that's an approach that doesn't stick to SAFe itself. And I think that's a really nice idea, which refers to an understanding of enterprise architecture, how you can structure it from an enterprise level down to the solution level. But I really like the idea here that it considers the architect with the understanding of business, information data, and also technology. And I think this could be a good starting point in terms of architecture roles. I'm happy to discuss with that afterwards as well, because Ludo, I think you mentioned there was just one last question.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to...
Thank you. I think you can have a breakout session at 3 and carry on this interesting discussion together. Thank you very much, Claudia. Thank you.
Thank you.